This crispy chicken is from a taco place.
This crispy chicken is from a taco place?
The taco place?
Taco place. It comes in a burrito, too?
From your taco place, it's also a chicken place that's also a taco place.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Bronco fans, the new Boise State trading cards are here, and you can only get them at Jackson's.
Start collecting them today.
Jackson's, let's go!
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN Live is presented by our title sponsor, RoadPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our major sponsors, Jackson's, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, Lithia Ford of Boise, and the Blue and Orange store. For more coverage of Boise State athletics, check out the all-new BroncoNationNews.com, now part of the 247 Sports family. Now, here's five-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
All right, how we doing, Bronco Nation? Happy Wednesday to you here at Bronco Nation News and BroncoNationNews.com. And little did you guys know, you woke up on a Wednesday and you get Mike Prater here on BNN in the morning, juggling things with the holiday on Monday. And so today it's Mike Prater. Public apology to Winston Venable. I forgot to tell him we were switching days, and he sent me a text at 9 a.m. wondering where the link was. So Winston, I apologize, but I'll pay you anyway, Winston. But we'll find you a time. You can't bump Mike Prater when he says he's available on a Wednesday. So, Mike, it's Wednesday. We got a lot to discuss. How we doing?
We're doing great, BJ. Winston, I'm sorry, man. Don't hold it against me, man. I'm sure people would rather listen to you, but I'm here, and you guys are stuck with me, and thank goodness we got a lot to talk about, starting with last week and going into this weekend. Cannot wait to get after it. Yeah. As I was saying that, I was like, why am I telling people they get Prater over Winston? That probably wasn't the smartest decision. No, I thought you were a smart business owner. What happened to your smart business decisions? Oh, man. Speaking of that, Mike Prater, I might as well get right to it off the top. There's folks ripping on us in the message boards. You know, we've already reached the point of the season, Mike, where it's the media's fault when the team loses.
And so we had someone on Twitter on the, I believe this was on the message board, BroncoNationNews.com. Well, I know it's there, but I was trying to see if it was the free board or the paying board. Somebody didn't like your Twitter post about the effort, the 100% effort. I know it was kind of satire, I guess, after the team not having much effort. You said you were going to bring the effort all week, unlike the team, or however your phrase went. And somebody said, they said, I know Mike Prater loves to stir the pot. I'm sure his post today was meant to drive clicks about 100% effort, and I'm sure he thought he was being funny. But, man, it fell flat. Instead of a laugh, it motivated me to do what I should have done a long time ago and block him. So you just lost somebody on social media, Mike Prater. He said, can we get some actual insight and positivity from you for once, Mike? And he said, yeah, the team played terrible, and he called it a cheap shot, and it's a bad look for you, your brand, and by association, this site. So you've said a lot of worse things, Mike Prater, than a little funny post about 100% effort, I thought, and then it gets into some follow-up posts about all of us and myself and Tust and everybody else. But I thought after we heard for a week about the team not being great, I thought it was I thought I had no problem with it. I thought you were just being funny.
Yeah, and everything that I said, and pretty much everything that I have said, and there has been lots of positivity. You should have listened to yesterday's show. We had Braxton Feely on and a whole bunch of other positive parts of what's going on. And there's not a lot of positive things with Boise State football right now, guys. And I have not repeated a single word or a single opinion that has not been uttered by 108 football players and in public, at least a couple of coaches. So, you can sit here and criticize the media all you want. You got your head in the sand if you don't think effort was an issue last week. It was the biggest issue, and it was it was frightening. It was sobering to watch a Boise State football team not show up and put in the effort, and we don't see that around here very often. So, yeah, was it a little bit of a cheap shot? Sure. Do I do things for clicks? I don't even know what the hell a click is, and I've never been paid for a click in my life. I just throw out my opinions, and whether you like them or not, that's up to you guys to decide. If you want to block me, that's fine too, but if you're blocking me because of a simple little show tease joke based on what the coaches have been saying for the last 4 days, you're a pretty soft fan, and you may not have good luck to you this season. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and then there was some follow-up comments. Somebody said, I disagree. We need an equalizer to hold them to the fire. It's normal in big market media. Somebody said it's Prater being Prater. Somebody said, but he was 100% correct. We objectively sucked, didn't give close to 100% effort. Even Coach D agrees. We asked the media to be critical of the coaching staff, but then they can't be critical of the program when they underperform, ? So some people did agree with you. Here's the one that I thought was kind of funny about all of us, Mike, and maybe help me explain this. But it says, someone says, look at the reporting from fall camp and compare it to the product that was rolled out in Florida. The local media has no idea what a good football team looks like in camp. Our first clue should have been the starters in the secondary, the same ones that were terrible last year. Did they suddenly figure out how to cover receivers? Of course they didn't. If they're the best we have, then the back end will be as bad as last year. I shouldn't have believed the hype. I won't make the mistake again. So I guess we decided the starters in the secondary, Mike, and then we got to do the starting lineup. I'm not sure, but we watch fall camp. We say what the players and coaches tell us in terms of how guys are performing. We say what we think we see, but I don't think any of the hype of this team was and the reason for them falling flat had anything to do with what the media was bringing from our coverage from fall camp. I didn't. That's another one I saw a couple people say and I didn't get.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. And I did this segment on the radio the other day in terms of I felt like I was duped in fall camp, and that's 100% on me. I'll steal another line from Spencer Danielson. That's 100% on me. I did feel duped because I thought this football team did get better in fall camp. I thought there was an intensity and an edge and a really beautiful a flow of competition in fall camp. Yes, you can take the same 5 defensive backs. Come on, guys, what are you thinking? You can take the same 5 defensive backs from last year, and you can get better this year. So that's not a large leap of faith. And yeah, it's orange against whites and whites against blues and 1s against 3s and 3s against 2s, and it's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in fall camp. But I think it was pretty unanimous, and we're not stupid. Our heads are not in the sand. We came away from fall camp thinking this team's got a pretty good edge to it. This team's got a pretty competitive fire. I think this team is pretty darn good. We talked about the 3 landmines in the schedule in South Florida, Air Force, and Notre Dame. So I don't think we had our heads completely in the sand based on the reality. But coming out of fall camp, I thought this team was motivated, and I thought this team was good, and I think it still will be. I promise you, and I'm going to stick with this one. When this season is over, we'll talk about how this football team reflected what we did see in fall camp more so than that first game. For whatever reason, that first game didn't work out. It was a complete total disaster, dumpster fire, whatever you want to call it. But they're going to try to get it fixed. And I think over the course of a long season, they will get it fixed, and this football team will be just fine.
Mike, folks are saying you're a little lower than me. I don't know if I should turn myself down or if you want to go turn yourself up on the mic there. I don't know what's easier. I'll try to turn myself down first, and then if folks want to crank the overall volume up on there, I may have just been a little too loud, but they were commenting that you were a little quieter. So I will. I
can start yelling more
down here, and then if you guys want to crank the overall volume up, let us know if that fixes the problem there. But yeah, and I didn't bring that up, Mike, so people could pat us on the back in the chat and give us praise. I mean, that's really not what I'm looking for at all. But I just found it kind of funny that at some point it's always the media's fault when a team plays bad, and you know yeah. I mean, was I duped by Malik Sherrod a little bit? I kind of feel like that in the first game based on what we saw in fall camp, but I also don't think they used him in the first game how we saw him being used in fall camp in the spring in terms of him getting outside more in the screen game and things like that. So I'll take the blame maybe a little bit on overhyping Malik Sherrod, I guess, in game one, and maybe there's some other things. But in terms of them not running to the football, and there's viral clips of guys jogging after the football, I mean, and missing tackles horribly. I mean, I think we said all fall camp tackling was an issue last season, and it was going to be, it was something that we needed to see them get figured out. I think I even said on literally the pregame show before the South Florida game that I still wasn't sold on the secondary yet. So I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back, Mike, but I think we were more than fair in terms of saying that this team still had some question marks going into the season, and I don't think any of us were anointing them as the number one team in the country.
No, not even close. Not even close. So this football team, this roster does have some challenges, but I think it came out of camp, in my opinion, again, feeling duped that they were better and improved and deeper, and they covered up some deficiencies from the offseason and some last season, and I felt pretty good about where this team is. Well, the biggest thing that really shocked me, and we went into this yesterday a little bit, and you can criticize me for this one all you want, but having covered Boise State football since 1994, I thought it was one of the worst coaching jobs I've ever seen. And I also feel duped right there in terms of this football staff is good. I firmly, truly believe that. Why they were so bad in this game? Because the players were just as bad. But I don't think we criticize the coaches for this performance. Not the staff itself or not the ability to coach, but this one single 3.5-hour performance. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was horrible from the start in terms of trying to stick 3 running backs in that first series, and everything from Spencer Danielson and the Devon Banks situation to the backup kicker situation to the lack of the run-pass balance from Nate Potter, who's a first-time offensive coordinator with play calling abilities. So they're going to get better. And I think that they really got sucked into, maybe they felt like they got duped after a pretty good fall camp too, but the coaching was terrible. In this game, it really was bad. They all said it. They all stood up behind the podium and said, "This is on me. This is on me." That's coach speak. In this particular case, it was true.
Well, we'll be speaking to Stacey Collins here in about a little over 90 minutes today, and I'm looking forward to getting his thoughts. I mean, he was very open all off season about how bad the special teams were and how they needed to improve and how much he took that personally. And then they came out and did next to nothing. I mean, we can all look at the fake punt. That was obviously a huge play in the game, but they did next to nothing in the return game as well. Just didn't get much action in the return game. I don't think any of the kick returns got past the 25, if I remember right. And then the punt returns, they didn't have much going as well. So I think that I requested Stacey Collins, was kind of pleasantly surprised to see that we got him. But it was funny, Mike, I'm thinking about him. You could have, you're talking about across the board, the coaching staff. Yeah, I mean, there were 4 or 5 assistant coaches I would like to hear from, honestly. And so I was trying to which one, I put Warren down there. I think you could have put Stockton down there. All these coaches on the list in terms of who you'd like to talk to. But I think that, Stacey Collins will be a good one, and curious what he had to say, because there's a lot of concerning issues coming out of that game, Mike, and I really, don't want to spend all show talking about the South Florida game. We kind of spin this ahead, but I guess doing that. So what for you was the most concerning thing you saw that is a concern that you don't think is going to be a one-game kind of easy fix? Was there one thing that stood out over others that you're concerned about, big picture here, as something that maybe is a serious problem?
Yeah, I don't know about a serious problem or concern, but I'm very, very curious as to how Nate Potter, I got my eyes on Nate Potter, and I think Nate Potter is going to be okay, because I'll go back to something that I've been consistent about for 30 years, almost 30 years, and that's in Dirk Cutter we trust. And I don't think I've ever gotten duped by Dirk Cutter. And Dirk Cutter tells us that Nate Potter is a good offensive coordinator and a good play caller, and he's going to be just fine. Fully endorsed by Dirk Cutter, who's always been open and honest, with me. And if he doesn't believe it and saying it publicly, he'll tell me off the record, hey, this guy's this guy, this guy is this guy. But he loves Nate Potter on the record, off the record. And Nate Potter has to get better. Nate Potter has to figure out a way to set the tone early with this football team and play calls and the balance and live with the Boise State identity. I think the player stuff can be fixed. I will keep an eye on the defensive backfield because that's a concern that goes all the way back to last year. And there was very, very little progress whatsoever. I mean, these guys are even allergic to takeaways. Benefield right there has the football on the field, and all he has to do is lay down. I can lay down, for crying out loud, and cuddle yourself around a football, and he couldn't even get a fumble recovery. This team is allergic to takeaways, and I'm very curious as to what's going to happen with the back end of the defense. But keeping a close eye on Nate Potter and calling a smooth game against Eastern Washington, and then obviously keeping a close eye on that defensive backfield as well.
Yeah, I thought, I said it yesterday's show, but I keep coming back to Brian Kelly slamming his fist on the table after last year's first game, saying we're here talking about the same things, and that, to me, the tackling for me is one that I'm a little worried about. But I guess when we talked to Spencer Danielson, he said 99% of it was effort. If guys just run to the guy with the ball and not jog after him, you have a better chance of making the tackles. The big plays certainly were a problem, but yeah, the turnover margin in general. I mean, to lose it 3-0 and, Boise State gives up 3 and gets 0. I mean, both of those, the turnover margin both ways was not good because last year, Mike, they didn't get a lot of turnovers. Last year, I think they were 77th in the country on defense in takeaways, lower third or whatever, however you want to phrase it, lower half for sure in the country. And those fumble, I know some of it is fluky when the ball's on the ground. Statistically, like 50% of the time you pick it up and you go 0 for 4 in that game. I mean, but that happened a lot last year, we heard, where they didn't get very many of those on the ground either. So I don't know if it's technique or what, or if that has to do with the hustle aspect as well. But watching it live, I thought Ty Benefield had that fumble for sure. And then next thing you know, they don't have it. And you're like, what happened there? So that was a really weird one to me, but the explosive plays too, because we talked all off season about got to limit the explosive plays on defense and got to create more explosive plays on offense. And they didn't really do either one of those. I have a chart right here, Mike. I took this chart from Twitter. It's going to be hard for maybe you to see on your screen. But if you are looking for hope, I guess, about it not being quite as bad as maybe the 34-7 score indicates, this is the net success rate, Mike Prater, and there's all kind of analytics that go into it, whatever. But you look at this, the amount of successful plays Boise State ran, the amount of successful plays South Florida ran, and what should have happened in this game based on this. The single biggest score discrepancy versus what happened on the field is Boise State, South Florida from week 0 and week 1. Boise State had a +6% rate of explosive plays. And I took this from Nathan Carroll off Twitter, who took it from somebody else. And I want to make sure I give the right guy credit here. So I'll look it up real quick. But essentially, Mike, you take away, and again, they count, you can't take them away. But if you are looking for a silver lining, you take away the 3 fumbles, and then, just a 4th down that doesn't go your way here and there. And then you give, the 3 explosive plays to South Florida, the 50-plus yard plays that change the game. I mean, South Florida had, I think, almost 40% of their yards on 3 plays with a couple of 50-yard plays. And so I'm not trying to sugarcoat this. I'm not trying to say they should have won the game, whatever. But I am just using this chart to illustrate that, play for play, man for man, this game was a lot closer than maybe the final score indicated. And if a couple plays don't happen, if the Sire Gaines fumble doesn't happen, the Malik Sherrod fumble doesn't happen, you don't give up the fake punt. I mean, I know in a 34-7 game, it's hard to say 3 or 4 plays change the course of the game. But the statistics really said that over the long course of the game, Boise State had more individual successful plays than South Florida did, but South Florida had the 3 or 4 biggest plays of the game to swing the game in their favor. So, again, the score was what it was. It is what it is. But if you are a Boise State fan going, okay, is it really as bad as I saw in there, or is this something that can easily be corrected? This was from Parker Fleming on Twitter. Stats Awar is his handle. Parker Fleming on Twitter. Thanks to him for posting this. But this is the, I guess if you're looking for a little bit of a silver lining, Mike, Boise State did have the most successful plays for a team that lost. And maybe it was just a couple key plays they've got to clean up.
Yeah, and all that stuff is fine. And the game book will tell you the exact same thing in terms of the statistics, outside of a few key statistics like turnovers and maybe explosives, and those are big. I'm not trying to downplay those. You put a blind resume, a game book up on the wall, and it's going to be a lot closer than the score indicates. And I know that that's a cliche, but in this particular case, it's true. All that stuff is fine. All that stuff, none of that stuff bothers me in terms of breaking down the schematics of the play or the stats. That stuff doesn't bother me. Those are all going to happen. The only thing that really, really, truly bothers me here, and it should bother 100% of all Boise State fans without exception, and including the players and the coaches, is just the effort. And you can't put that on a box score. You can't put that on a stat. That was so stinking gross, guys. And it wasn't just one viral play. It was the coaching and the effort from the very first play of this football game, and it was just kind of not Boise State-like, and it just kind of cut us all off guard. So you can play with the stats all you want, and the stats are going to be phenomenal against Eastern Washington, a game where we'll learn nothing about this football team because it needs to be applied. And I know we're going to talk about that here in a little bit and certainly for the rest of the week, but you won't learn a thing about this football team coming out of that game on Friday night. But you will be able to take the optics and look at this football team, and did they have effort? Did they work their ass off? Did they run around like crazy Tasmanian devils with their butt on fire? That's what you want to see. That stuff is easy to gauge, and that's the stuff I'll be looking for.
And where do you think that – how does that happen, Mike? I mean, I know Jay Tuss has mentioned this, but I mean, when Spencer Danielson was hired, it was all about how hard guys were going to play for him and how bad they wanted it for him and all the effort and just, running through a brick wall for this guy. And you get out there in the opening game of the season and so much expectations and so much hype, and you literally have guys jogging after the ball carrier. I mean, how do you obviously they've made it very clear this week that you're not going to play if that happens again. And so I don't think you're going to see that kind of effort against Eastern Washington. I agree with you. It kind of stinks that you're not playing an Air Force or somebody, because you're not going to get a real test for 2 more weeks with the bye week. And we won't know much about this team until September 20th. But with that said, I mean, they've made it clear you're not going to play. But I mean, for Chenander to come out and say it, if that happens, you're benched, whatever. But it's a lot of fans are saying, well, why didn't that happen first of all, why didn't the benchings and things happen last game? And second of all, why did it happen to begin with, where guys are literally jogging after the ball carrier? I mean, I know you mentioned lots of plays, but that one viral clip is just embarrassing. And there were multiple plays like that throughout the game when I went back and rewatched it, where you're just like, wow. I mean, they're just, guy runs right by him because they're not even trying to tackle him. So I guess I just have never, at least in the last couple of years, I shouldn't say never, but in the Spencer Danielson era, that has never been a problem. And that hasn't been something we've at all thought about and talked about, guys not playing hard and not having effort, the two things that are the easiest to control. Spencer said guys must have been reading the press clippings and feeling good about themselves. And he couldn't really figure it out. But I mean, what do you think was the reason for something like that, especially in game one?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And those are all good possibilities for answers. I'm not sure there's a real answer. And I did ask Spencer Danielson that exact question. How and why did this even happen? And he threw out a couple of possibilities and ideas too. So I still think they're searching for answers. I think this is one of those mysteries that caught everybody off guard, and they're trying to figure out why. I do have a couple of theories. First of all, fall camp went really smooth. There was very, very little injuries, lots of praise, lots of smooth things, lots of progress when you're playing against each other. They came out of fall camp with almost zero angst, adversity, chaos, a conflict, whatever the buzzword that Spencer Danielson wants to use. They tried to create all that stuff within the practice, but that was just kind of a synergy within the practice. Nothing bad happened in practice. There wasn't a bad injury or a bad play or any kind of serious criticism. So everybody came out of fall camp feeling really, really good about themselves. Maybe there was too much press clippings. Maybe that's the effort. Let's give the weather and the travel 5% of the criticism, or 5% of the credit here. A 4-hour flight, 2 days before, 2 time zones, and then 80+% humidity. That's going to play a little bit of a role, but no, very small, very small. After that, I'm not sure. I just think that this team felt good about itself. I maybe felt a little bit sluggish. And I'll give you my third one. And I'm not sure I've said this in public before, but Spencer Danielson is a nice dude. And when things go well, Spencer Danielson is going to pat you on the back and give you a lot of love. And I'm not sure that there's a lot of MFing going around, if you know what I mean, and getting in your face and having some angst. I've always loved coaches with an edge. That's why I liked the Brian Harsons, the Dirk Cutters, sometimes the Andy Avalos, although Andy didn't do it in a very smart, positive, quality way. The other two can do it in a perfect way. You need to be a bad dude. When When Devon Banks creates a penalty that decides a football game and he comes off and the football coach doesn't even know that he committed the penalty, pats him on the butt, pats him on the helmet and says, "Good job, son. Go get him next time." That's not good. I need spit flying and tempers flaring, and I need 5 seconds of Spencer Danielson just being a badass dude and getting in somebody's face. I don't see that at practice. I don't see even the stuff that we're not allowed to report. I don't see that. I don't see it in games. I don't think it's within his nature. And I think that this staff was kind of a good guy staff. And I feel like they got duped in fall camp like we got duped in fall camp, thinking everything was going to be okay. And there was very little tough love. And this football team right now needs some serious tough love.
And I don't know if you saw it, Mike. I did not see the clip live, so maybe I shouldn't even bring this up. But there was about 3 minutes left in the game, and apparently during a timeout or something, the TV showed Spencer Danielson laughing or smiling. I don't know the context of that. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen that or not. It was during a timeout, and there was a screenshot taken where he's got what appears to be a pretty big smile on his face when the score is 34-7. And so I have no idea what was said. Maybe it was, "Hey, you better enjoy it now, because when we get back to Boise, it's not going to go too well." I mean, that could be the way it was. I don't think he was, laughing about a 34-7 loss. But you are correct in that we don't see a lot of we see fire from him on the sideline, but not necessarily directed, individual guys, and especially not maybe in a negative way. That's not necessarily his style. But there has been a lot of hate coming his way. I mean, you mentioned the coaches having a poor game here, but I mean, we've had, people already, wanting to see Bronco Mendenhall come back, or Jason Eck, and there's all these names getting thrown out there. People are already off the Spencer train after one game this year.
And that's ridiculous. Spencer's just fine, and he's a phenomenal human being. And he can raise my kids, he can raise me, he can raise my puppies, he can raise anybody he wants anytime. And there's a million good things about Spencer Danielson. I love the dude as a human being, love the dude as a coach, but they got duped, and I need a little bit more edge from my football coach. I've always said that Spencer Danielson, at the end of the day, because the God talk, the Jesus talk, all that stuff doesn't bother me, because it would bother me more if he was being fake. At the end of the day, Spencer Danielson has to be who he is, and he's this nice, genuine, positive spin, kind of guy with this positive energy. But coaches have to evolve. Coaches have to self-scout. Coaches have to look and reflect themselves in the mirror and go, what can I do to be a better coach? And sometimes that means being a badass dude and just getting in somebody's face and sitting somebody down. When was the last time you saw – well, that's not true, because I think it happened once in camp, maybe a couple of times at most. But when was the last time he got so pissed off in camp that he stopped practice and made everybody do 5 laps around the football field? That's the kind of natural stuff that happens in fall camps across the country. I saw very little, if any, of that this year, because I think Spencer Danielson felt like he had this beautiful, great vibe going in fall camp, and he got duped, and I need to see an edge out of him, almost like we saw, and I'm not sure we're allowed to say this kind of stuff, but let's just say that Stacey Collins at practice on Monday was a little agitated, was a little upset, was a little vocal, and I can't wait to talk to him about that kind of stuff today, getting after it. And I didn't see a lot of that in fall camp. Maybe this coaching staff was learning to coach with a little bit more of an edge.
And again, back to the not sure what we're supposed to say, but I will just say you're not entirely correct on that, Mike. I mean, there was one practice where there were a couple players that got into some scuffles and had to jog some laps around the field, and there was a portion where the entire team they stopped practice and had to do some up downs for a fairly long period of time due to some physical altercations in practice. And I apologize to Boise State if I'm not supposed to say that, but I just want to get out there that it was at least one time he did stop practice because that we saw because of some physicality, I won't say behavioral issues, but guys pushing and shoving that went across the line a little bit in one of the practices, and they did have to stop things. And so I won't say maybe there could have been more. I won't disagree with you on that, but I will say at least once when it was needed, he made a couple guys take off around the field, and they were veteran players that had to go around the field. I'll say that. And that was one moment that did stick out to me, but we're not in the meeting rooms. We're not in the, we're at practice, Mike, but we're not around these guys very much at all things considered. And so I think there's a lot more to it that we don't know about.
100%.
But again, it all comes back to this, Mike Prater. Isn't it funny how the press built all these guys up?
Well, I mean, I guess that's one way to put it about it. There's no agenda or motive, guys. We just go to practice and kind of report what we saw. And the fall camp was spectacular. I mean, you can't deny that. So if I go to practice for 2.5 hours and it's a smooth practice and very productive and lots of people are getting work done and the defensive backs look pretty good against Chris Marshall and Chris Marshall's catching some big passes against the defense, we're just reporting what we see, guys. And so it was a great fall camp. It was a smooth fall camp. They're going to have to self-scout and figure out maybe they need a little bit more angst in fall camp, and that's for them to decide next year. But there's no agenda here, guys. It's simple. We go to practice. We write what we see. I did feel duped coming out of it because we didn't see in that first game what we saw in camp. So there is a disconnect. I get it, but there's no crazy agenda, guys. You guys overthink this stuff sometimes, man. I guarantee you. Get 10 fans, send them to practice, watch practice, and walk away. And you and your buddies are walking back to your car going, hey, that was a pretty good practice. That guy was good. That guy was good. That was pretty smooth. Guys, come on, man. Stop being the conspiracy weirdo. It's just not true. And Boise State played a bad game after a great fall camp, and now they're trying to fix it.
You missed that on the little thing we signed, Mike Prater, when they allowed us to come to practice. It was you have to overhype this team, make them seem very good, or you're not allowed to come to practice. You missed that line when you signed it?
I did miss that line.
Okay.
Knowing me, I probably just forgot to sign it and didn't sign it and moved on. But yeah, that's funny.
Tequila Gus saying it sounds like there is a BNN column from Prater coming called "Is Spencer Danielson Too Nice?"
I did write that last year in terms of, and I felt bad about this because I'll never forget the first time I heard Spencer Danielson drop an F-bomb. I'll just say that. And that kind of caught me off guard. And then I actually saw him drinking a beer one day. And all of a sudden, because at that point, I'm not sure how Pollyanna Spencer Danielson is, because he's all talking God and Jesus and all this kind of stuff. And Pollyanna is, you can be a good guy, but I just don't want you to be a good guy with your head in the sand and ignore the rest of the world. You have to have some self-awareness and know what's around you. And I know it's superficial and dumb and giggling junior high. Oh, he swore, he drank a beer. But it just kind of gave an edge to Spencer in terms of, okay, he can get after you. He can drop an F-bomb and get after the players. I think I saw that or heard the first time I heard that was in a practice with the team around him. And I thought, okay, he's getting after him a little bit. I like that. It's very rare. And again, Spencer Danielson has to be who he is. But I like the fact that he wasn't a Pollyanna, that he can get a little edgy. I don't know if I want to see it more, because I want Spencer Danielson to be true and genuine to himself. But there's got to be some self-reflection about what he saw from his coaching staff and himself on Saturday or last weekend for sure.
No doubt. And I think that, the offensive play calling, I'm going to hold my thought till after this quick break, because I want to get into what Nate Potter said about the offensive play calling, because there were some folks that had questions about that. Chenander's defense, they gave us some big plays. They had 4 sacks. I thought overall, you can't take away the 3 big plays, but like I said, they got about 40% of their yards on like 4 plays. And so overall, I didn't think South Florida was like just running all over them up and down the field. They just had a couple breakdowns and gave them up. But those yards count, those points count. It certainly wasn't good. And that's, as they say, the razor's edge you live on defense. You have 4 great plays, for 5 yards, but you give up 1 50-yarder. All of a sudden you're averaging giving up, 15 yards a play. And that's the way it is. But certainly the big plays are something to have to get figured out. But I didn't think the defense played terrible in that game. I just thought there were some plays that weren't very good. I thought they had a couple key stops on key downs. And but offensively, and Nate Potter, you mentioned him. I want to go back to that here in a second. But rowpaint.com is our title sponsor, folks. You're looking for painting needs, whether it's interior, exterior painting, those concrete coatings. They got some great specials for the fall right now. Highly recommend rowpaint.com and those concrete coatings. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. Hit them up at rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union. Mike Prater is an ICCU member. I'm an ICCU member. You're seeing their logo now inside the stadium, outside the stadium. They are back as a partner with Boise State Athletics. It's great news for everybody. And as part of that partnership, they have NIL deals now with 7 student athletes at Boise State. So return the favor. You want the best banking around. Make the switch today. ICCU.com. Hey, Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com is their website. You can go on there and get more information about all the great things they're doing at Taco Bell and the great food, like the all-new chicken and steak street chalupas, the $3 Chipotle Ranch grilled steak burrito, the new crispy chicken strips, or the Mountain Dew Baja Midnight Freeze. My kids are loving those. So we got flag football practice tonight. It'll probably be another Taco Bell night. Taco Bell, the future of fast food. Visit a Treasure Valley Taco Bell location today. Had a great episode last night of the Riley and Ridge Show. Really recommend you go back and watch that. Riley and Ridge Show is a tremendous tremendous show with just great comments, and what was probably the most comments and questions we've ever had on a Riley and Ridge show. So the YouTube chat was buzzing last night, and that is brought to you by our friends at Jackson. So go watch that show, and it's on the YouTube channel, and make sure you pick up the trading cards from Jackson's, $12.99 each. And if you come watch the Riley and Ridge show at the James, we give a couple of packs of cards out each week. So we gave there was a family that came all the way from Mountain Home for the show last night, Mike Prater, and we gave them a couple of packs of cards and bought a beverage of theirs. So always never know who you're going to see. Jeremiah Dickey was hanging out at the James last night before the show. We talked to him for a while, so couldn't quite drag him on for a few minutes of the show, Mike Prater, but we had a good chat with him. Good chat with Jeremiah off air, but you never know who you're going to see. He was talking to fans, hanging out, so it's always a good time at the James for the Riley and Ridge show on Tuesday, and that's brought to you by our friends at Jackson's. Hey, this week, hopefully you're heading into the blue and orange store and getting your Boise State gear. What was it, Mike? 6 different kiosks around the stadium going to be on Friday night, inside the stadium, outside the stadium. They're going to have one, way up on the corner across the street from Jackson's, right there on the corner of campus. When you come in, all different pop-up kiosks and tents and various ways to buy your Boise State gear. But if you don't want to wait till Friday, you can go into the Hall of Fame, the new location there, or the Boise Town Square Mall. They have their location there, and you can order online in the world, obviously anywhere in the world, online at theblueandorangestore.com. The best gear, the best prices, theblueandorangestore.com. Friday, we're going to be doing our show, Jay Tust and I, from, how about this, Mike Prater, inside a vehicle over at Lithia Ford of Boise. We're going to broadcast the entire show from, I believe, inside one of their new F-150s over there. So we're looking forward to that and making a little BNN history here. We'll be broadcasting from inside a vehicle for Friday's show on game day at Lithia Ford of Boise. Very appreciative of Jim Sturk and company. They're doing a ton for Boise State, a ton for BNN. Return the favor, folks. Make Lithia Ford of Boise your spot for your next car or truck purchase, and we appreciate them for their support. And, yeah, be ready for Friday's show. We're going to kick off your game day literally broadcasting from inside a Ford vehicle there over there at Lithia Ford of Boise. So check them out online, lithiafordboise.com. And don't forget Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team, whether it's a sauna, a spa, pool table, you name it, they got you covered. Online, thespateam.com, they got those 4 locations you can check out: Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa, Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio, and Game. All right, Nate Potter getting a lot of questions, Mike Prater, and he said, our man Nathan Carroll is great with the stats. He pointed out, I think it was 12 play action attempts was all they ran in that game, which was much lower than their normal number last year. And he said, hey, and that's actually where Maddox Madsen, by the way, statistically last season was at his best, was in the play action. And so Nathan asked Nate Potter, like, why didn't you run more play action if that's where, that's a strength of Maddox Madsen's? And he basically said, you got, to run play action, you have to be able to run the football first to be able to have them biting on the run, which didn't happen a lot in that game. It sounds like first down in particular. I mean, they were in a lot of 3rd and longs in that game. So if you hear Nate Potter talk, Mike, they didn't really get to their quote unquote game plan. They didn't really get to do everything they wanted to do because they were in so many situations that they weren't wanting to be in terms of 3rd and long and some of this other stuff. And it sounds like it's, establishing the run more on first down and getting yourself more in 3rd and short will set up some of the things that they want to do. But overall, Nate Potter, his first game as OC, and then talking to him on Monday, what are just your general thoughts there with Nate Potter?
Yeah, I mean, Nate Potter, I think he gets it, and I think he understands, and I'm guessing that he spent a little bit of time with Dirk Cutter, the senior analyst, since that game, trying to figure stuff out. Nate Potter was not good in this game, and I have no idea what his game plan was going into the game, because what we saw in the game certainly didn't reflect what they said they wanted the game plan to be in terms of a run-first team. But I also believe that Nate Potter set the tone by putting 3 running backs into the game in that first series. And I know we've made a big deal of that and talked about it ad nauseum every single day since it happened. But that's a tone setter, and that's not good. And maybe that gets some curiosities and some softness in the back of kids' mind. Okay, I just went in for 2 plays. It's the first drive of the game, and here comes number 2, and then here comes RB number 3. It was just really weird, and it really, really set the tone. So I would love to be a fly on the wall for those conversations in the 48 hours leading up to that first drive, those first handoffs, in terms of what the plan was, because I can't imagine that was the plan going in, and why it was changed or why they executed what they did. It's baffling to me in terms of that. Now, the offensive line was a little beat up. The right tackle was having a horrible night. A couple of other players were missing, but the depth on this offensive line is supposed to be decent. And and they were decent. You know, they were okay, but they certainly didn't help with the run game. So I just think that first series really set the tone and put you don't want to put your own team on its back heels, but when you make those kinds of play calls, that's exactly what you're doing. And then the execution part just kicks in, and all of a sudden it becomes a major problem.
Yeah, and I not to pile on, we've talked about it. I said it the very next day on your show, but I agree with you. I just don't think 3 running backs needed a carry on the first drive of the season. And I know you're trying to keep Dylan Riley happy, whatever. You got a lot of mouths to feed. I understand all that. And if we want to talk about being duped, like I said, through one game, I was expecting a lot more from Malik Sherrod, and I'm not ready to give up on him. I talked about it with Jay Tuss on yesterday's show when we were standing outside the stadium. But for one game, and that's what we have to evaluate right now, Malik Sherrod he underperformed, didn't do much in the return game at all. And I thought it was a lot of dancing and not much hitting the hole and getting that. Well, I think he finished with 22 yards or something on 8 or 9 carries. I really hope in this game, Sire Gaines is going to get much more of an opportunity. And you may not need it, Mike. Hopefully you're up big at halftime and you don't need him to have 25 carries in this game, whatever. But I would like to see that first. You're talking about establishing the run and a mentality. I mean, that's Sire Gaines. Give him the ball 4 or 5 straight times to start this game and let him just overpower guys. I want to see much more Sire Gaines in this game.
The one area where I feel duped coming out of fall camp more than anything else with this football team is Malik Sherrod. And that's not a personal shot at Malik. He is who he is, guys. Go back and look what he did at Fresno State. He was good, but he wasn't a game changer. He was good, but he wasn't a difference maker. He was good, but he's not even close to Sire Gaines. And after watching Sire Gaines, and you needed that refresher because we all saw it last year. And I think we even got a little bit cloudy in terms of what he did at Georgia Southern because we were so caught up in the glow of what Ashton Genty did that we really decipher and look at Sire Gaines and what he did against Georgia Southern. And then things got squirrely and bad, and he was gone. What I saw out of Sire Gaines in his limited 9 carries against South Florida, he is so much better and so different than Malik Sherrod or any other running back that I've seen on this football team since somebody by the name of Ashton Genty. He's powerful. He runs hard. He is physical, and he is brutal, and he is fast, and he's a locomotive. I don't get – he's so much better than Malik Sherrod, and you just don't see that in fall camp, especially with Sire – being treated with the kids' gloves that he did because of his injuries in his body as he's concerned with his physical health. So Malik Sherrod was phenomenal against Boise State's defense in air and space in fall camp, and we all kind of bought into that. But Malik Sherrod is who he is. He's a good RB2. He's a good complement. He had decent numbers and decent production at Fresno State, but nothing ever great. Keep him healthy. Make sure he's RB2. But damn it, this ball should be going to Sire Gaines. I said it before the season started, and I got mocked. I want 30 carries every single game from Sire Gaines. I want Sire Gaines to start this season like Ashton Genty did to finish last year. And I'm not talking about the yards. I'm talking about Dirk Cutter feeding him the ball 30-plus times over and over and over and over again. That's what I want from Sire Gaines. And if I don't get 25-plus carries against Eastern Washington, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think, my tune has changed a little bit because, like I said, Sherrod was really impressive during camp. And so if we want to talk about being duped or overhyping guys, whatever, we can only go off what we based off what we saw. And I'll be completely honest. Malik Sherrod had a great fall camp and a great spring, and he was very hard to tackle, and he looked great. And then it just didn't translate over to the game. So if that's our fault for overhyping him or whatever else, that's on us. But that's one of the bigger surprises I had in that game, Mike Prater, was Malik Sherrod. What we saw in camp not translating over to the game, and hopefully it's one game, and hopefully that's not I mean, obviously the proof's in the pudding. The guy rushed for almost 1,000 yards in the Mountain West a couple years ago, so the guy has some talent. It just didn't translate over. What's the number one thing? I kind of asked you this earlier, but as we start to wrap this up, Mike, I want to talk just for a second about this game on Friday. I mean, effort's the obvious one. Let's leave that out of it. We want to see guys playing hard, having effort. I mean, but if there was one tactical thing on the field, whether it is running the football, whether it is getting some turnovers on defense, not giving up the big plays on offense, the tackling, as I said, I mean, what's the number one thing for you that you really want to see? And I know we're taking this with a grain of salt because it is Eastern Washington, and all these areas should be good. But if there's one area, like I said, that you really want to see Friday night take a step forward, where would that be for you?
Yeah, I mean, you covered all the basics, and let's go ahead and throw the 3 or 4 things that we've been talking, because we all want to see improvement in all those areas. But the one thing we really haven't touched on here is, and it's obviously another glaring problem coming out of the South Florida game, is Maddox Madsen. I need to see Maddox Madsen be a little bit more efficient, maybe a lot more efficient. And again, this is also on the coaching staff. I want them to simplify this passing attack. Get back to the play action, get Sire Gaines running the football, get back to the play action, and let's get Maddox Madsen into a groove. I want to see Maddox Madsen get into a groove. He needs to do that mentally and physically going into the rest of this season. I also believe that and I really don't have anything to base this on, but Boise State targeted 12 different pass catchers in the South Florida game, 12 different receivers, running backs, whatever, had targets in that game. I need to simplify that part as well. And I don't need 12 dudes marching out there, maybe 8 to 10. And if this game gets out of hand, maybe you can throw a couple of other guys in there. But I thought Boise State came out of fall camp with a core of 6 or 7 at most wide receivers, and that even included the Matt Lauder. So, I need to see more precise, efficient passing game. I need to see Maddox Madsen get into a rhythm, get into a groove. I need to see Maddox Madsen play a clean game. I don't need 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. I just need to see him be clean and efficient. And I need to see a core of 6 wide receivers just go out there and be productive. I think they got too cute. They wanted to play too many players. They wanted to get too many people involved. Guys, it's time to simplify and go out there and just dominate this football team.
Hey, Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate. Number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. We bought and sold our home using Matt and his team, and we're very thankful we did. Tremendous process. If you're looking for someone that's going to fight for you every step of the way, that's Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Online at BauscherRealEstate.com. Hey, Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. I know Johnny loves that Cuno location. We love all the different various locations of Ridley's Family Markets. You can download that Skip app, get savings up to 40% off of the checkout line. But if you just want that family kind of friendly, just a feeling when you walk into a Ridley's Family Markets, and it's just a great, friendly staff, great environment. You can find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Transportation compliance service. If you're looking for a new job, it's a local company helping out folks all over the world get into the trucking industry. Transportation compliance service, transcompservice.com. Hey, leave us a voicemail. We'll play. We've played some this week already. Speakpipe.com/BNN. We'll take them on the pregame show, postgame show, morning show. Whenever you have a thought on Boise State athletics, leave us a voicemail. Speakpipe.com/BNN. And it's brought to you by Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades, whether it's a re-roof or repair, an estimate, or inspection. Check them out online at mysignatureroofing.com. And quick plug tonight, Mike Sanford, John Mallory, Ball Talk, 8 p.m. tonight. This is subscriber only, so if you want to watch this show tonight, you got to be a paying subscriber of Bronco Nation News. I have already dropped the exclusive link to watch this show in the VIP message boards over on Bronco Nation News. So while you're in there ripping on Prater and I, you can get your link and you can watch Ball Talk tonight. Sanford and Johnny, cannot wait to hear Mike Sanford and his take on the loss to USF and the lack of effort and all the stuff we're talking about from a former player of this program, a former coach. Very curious to hear Mike's thoughts. I know he had so much to say, Mike Prater. He texted me at whatever time asking if he could jump on the post-game show on Thursday. So he jumped on for a few minutes on the post-game show. I know he's got more thoughts he wants to expand on after sitting on it for a few days. So subscribe today. I think it's still 60% off. So it's a great deal with the 60% off. You can subscribe today for like $40, I think it is, for a full year of BNN, and that gets you access to the private shows like Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny. That's tonight, 8 o'clock, subscriber only. The viewership's lower when it's subscriber only, so more chance for you as a subscriber to get your questions answered and your thoughts heard. So I hope you'll join the guys tonight, 8 o'clock live, if you're a paying subscriber of BNN, and looking forward to that. Okay, Mike, final thing here, I guess, just overall big picture. I mentioned we're not going to see, we expect this to hopefully be a fairly easy win for Boise State, and they'll get to 1-1, and people, I think, will feel hopefully better about things. But I think a lot of fans are going to go, I'll believe it when I see it against Air Force, here in a couple of weeks. So what could happen in this game on Friday for you to is there anything that could happen for you to think, okay, they're back, or this team has figured it out, or is because it's Eastern Washington, we're all going to hold judgment till the Air Force game and then the App State game after that?
We've all been here. We all know what it's like, guys. And you just show up, 35, 36,000 people, whatever the number is going to be based on the new configurations of Albertson Stadium. They just need to walk away at 10:30 at night with just feeling good about this. If the stands are a third empty in the fourth quarter, that means the fans are feeling pretty good about themselves and they're walking away, I think. I don't think they're going to walk out on a game of angst. If there's any kind of angst, if it's like a one-score game in the second half, or if Boise State's turning it over and all of a sudden Eastern Washington, a pretty good program, is making this a little bit more of a game or tighter than we expect. I have no idea what the spread is here. 21, 24 points. I don't know.
It's not out yet.
It's not even out yet, but it's probably going to be somewhere 18 to 24. I don't know. We'll see. But just walking away feeling good about yourself and just being smooth. And you don't have to dominate. You don't have to be physical. You don't have to pancake block anybody, but just, take care of the football, be efficient, show me a lot of effort, get some players in there, show me some smart coaching, show me some smart play calling. Everybody just needs to kind of walk away and feel good about themselves. And we all know what that looks like. It's happened at Albertson Stadium more than it has not. So at about 10:30 on Friday night, we will know the pulse of this fan base. We'll know what this football team really looks like going into the next couple of weeks. I cannot wait to see what that vibe's like. I suspect Boise State's going to bounce back okay, but any kind of angst in this game is going to be multiplied. I can't wait to see how much angst there is in this game as opposed to just smooth operations.
Well, can't wait in about an hour to get down and talk to Spencer Danielson and Stacy Collins. I know you guys will have all those sound bites and clips on your show today, 3 to 6. Make sure you're listening. Prater in the Ball Game, Idaho Sports Talk, 95.3 FM, 1350 AM, the KTIK app, KTIK.com as well. And then you can download their podcast feed via the Apple Podcast and listen on delay or later, whenever. That's how I catch up on the show typically. So, which always ticks me off because I want to text you or Johnny about something you're wrong about, and it's midnight, and I can't do it because it's over. But so KTIK, make sure you're listening to Johnny and Prater today, 3 to 6, and I know you guys will be all over pregame, postgame for the home opener on Friday as well, Mike. But looking forward to Stacy Collins. Got to face the music here in about an hour. Looking forward to seeing what he says. Spencer Danielson as well, and we'll get those up on our YouTube channel, on our website as well, and we'll see everybody in the message boards later. And Mike, jump back in there and defend yourself. They're ripping you again. Come on,
ripping me. What did I do now? What did I do now?
You took a cheap shot by saying you're going to give 100% effort. Come on.
I just want the Boise State football team to be inspired by Prater in the ball game and BJ. So. That's a little bit of a cheap shot right there, but hey, it's all fun and games, guys. And I think for the most part, we're all on board. We all saw what we saw. It wasn't hard, and it's not hard to decipher. I guess there's a few dissenters out there with their opinions and so on and so forth, but I think we all saw the same thing. I think we're all expecting something different this weekend, and it'd be kind of fun. As much as I like to poke the bear, and as much as I like to create a little bit of angst, it'd be fun if we woke up on Saturday morning and the Bronco Nation was just one big happy family again going into the meat of the season. So I cannot wait to see how it turns out.
He's Mike Prater. Again, listen, 3 to 6 today. Him and Johnny Ballgame on Idaho Sports Talk. I'll be back tomorrow with Johnny at 9 a.m. Again, Friday morning, game day, be live with Jay Tust over at Lithia, Florida, Boise, if you want to stop by there. And don't forget, if you're a paying subscriber, 8 p.m. tonight, Ball Talk, Johnny and Sanford. The link is already up in the VIP message boards for tonight. You can subscribe and read Mike Prater's column on who does Boise State miss more, Ashton Genty or Dirk Cutter. You can read that right now if you're a paying subscriber. And like I said, jump on in. I think they're still offering today like 60% off. So you can jump in, subscribe today, BroncoNationNews.com, and read all of our exclusive content. Nathan Carroll's betting column is up already. He had Chris Marshall plus 290 was his favorite bet last week to score a touchdown, and sure enough, he did. So if you took advantage of that, you made some money, and he's back with his best bet of this week as well. So BroncoNationNews.com, you can subscribe. We're going to go head down and talk to Spencer Danielson and Stacy Collins, and we'll get that posted for you, and we'll talk to you guys later. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Go subscribe. Go check out the YouTube channel, and we'll see you later. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com. Take care, everybody.
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.